For a special photo shoot, a photography team fills a deep pool with water and places a sofa inside for the model to pose on. Day is part of the crew and invites his girlfriend Koi to bring their dog, Lucky, so the dog can be featured in the photos. Day, who is diabetic, takes a moment to administer his insulin shot. Koi keeps him company and briefly jokes about pregnancy using a music box, which irritates Day. The shoot proceeds as planned. Lucky performs tricks using a whistle, impressing everyone with how well-trained he is. The next day, Day returns to the pool with Lucky to handle cleanup and sealing duties, since the location won't be used for a while. Before getting to work, Day relaxes on a floaty and plays fetch with Lucky. He doesn't notice a nearby newspaper warning about a missing crocodile in the area. While looking for his ball, Lucky hears a noise coming from the maintenance room and begins barking at it. The pool owner arrives, drains the pool by pulling a lever, and chains Lucky to prevent him from falling in. He reminds Day to get started, mentions he's leaving for a 3-month vacation, and agrees to order a pizza for Day before leaving. Thinking there's still time before the water drains completely, Day remains on the floaty and unintentionally falls asleep. When he wakes up, the water level has dropped significantly. Realizing he's trapped in the deep pool, he panics. Day swims to the wall and attempts to climb out, but there are no steps or handles. He injures a fingernail trying to grip the edge. Using the floaty doesn't help. It's too slippery. He then ties his glasses to the belt of his robe and throws it upward, trying to pull his phone down from the edge, but it lacks the force to move it. He starts yelling for help but gets no response. His phone begins to ring and vibrate, slowly shifting toward the pool's edge. Just as he prepares to catch it, Lucky starts barking. Day turns to see the dog slipping. Lucky is now dangling over the pool by his leash. Day quickly swims over and uses the floaty to push Lucky up, freeing him just before the leash tightens around his neck. But in doing so, he misses the moment his phone falls. It's still attached to its charger, now hanging against the pool wall. Day hurries back and tries to grab it, but it's just out of reach. He jumps, hits it with his hand, and accidentally disconnects the charger. The phone drops into the water. Day dives in and retrieves the phone, but it's already water damaged and unusable. Realizing he needs to stop the water from draining further, Day dives down and uses his rope to block the drainage vent. His chain belt accidentally snags on the rope. While struggling to untangle it, a pizza delivery man arrives, sees no one, and calls the pool owner. The owner tells him to leave the pizza and go. Day finally frees himself and resurfaces, calling for help, but the delivery man is already leaving. The sound of the motorbike drowns him out. With no other option, Day rests on the floaty and eventually falls asleep again. Later, Koi arrives and assumes Day is relaxing in the pool. She climbs onto the platform and jumps, but slips and hits her head as she falls in. Lucky's barking wakes Day. He swims over, pulls her out of the water, and uses his robe to cover her head wound. He places her on the floaty and yells for help, but no one hears. By nightfall, the water has drained low enough that Day can stand. Koi's injury is still bleeding, and Day becomes concerned. Then a noise echoes from the maintenance room. Lucky starts barking wildly. The missing crocodile has been hiding there, and now it's emerging. Day spots the crocodile and tries to quiet Lucky, but the dog keeps barking. The noise attracts the crocodile, which begins moving toward them. It slips and falls into the pool. Day watches the water and tries to track its movement. When it swims close to his legs, he climbs onto the sofa for elevation. He then blames Lucky for drawing the crocodile's attention. By morning, the pool is completely drained. The crocodile is asleep, and Koi remains unconscious. Day finds a positive pregnancy test in her pocket and is visibly affected. He checks her wound again and sees it's still bleeding. Looking for supplies, he notices a roll of tape lodged in the crocodile's mouth. Day carefully approaches. Lucky barks in warning, but Day quiets him and tries again. As he reaches for the tape, the crocodile wakes up and snaps at him. Day dodges and escapes, then returns to Koi and uses part of his robe and the tape to dress her wound. Using a bucket left in the pool, Day collects a small amount of water and drips it into Koi's mouth over time. When the crocodile is distracted, he attempts to open the drainage vent, but the lid won't move. Back with Koi, Day finds a razor blade hidden in her necklace and takes it. He turns to see the crocodile now lying over the vent. Day uses the tape roll like a whip, aiming for the animal's head. At first it ignores him, but it moves after being hit in the eye. Day then uses the razor as a makeshift screwdriver to unscrew the lid and open the vent. Inside, he sees narrow tunnels and considers whether he can fit. He checks on Koi again. During that time, the crocodile slips into the tunnels and disappears. Day notices and waits near the vent, but the animal doesn't return. Later, Day repeats earlier attempts, shouting for help, climbing out, and trying to use his broken phone, but nothing works. His injured fingernail worsens, so he bites off the damaged portion and tapes the finger. When he checks on Koi again, she has a high fever. With no other option, Day decides to crawl into the tunnel. As he moves forward, he hears the crocodile nearby, but it doesn't come any closer. At the end of the tunnel, Day finds another lid and removes it, entering a small space with stairs. He climbs up and finds a second lid blocking the exit, but it's locked from the outside. He yells for help, but Lucky's barking interrupts him. Looking up at a mirror, he sees the crocodile has returned to the pool and is heading toward Koi. As the animal moves between Koi's legs, Day rushes back and grabs its tail, slamming it into a wall. He then grabs a stick and stands between the crocodile and Koi until it retreats. Koi wakes up and Day helps her sit. He tells her what happened and that he found out about the pregnancy. He remembers a past conversation with a friend where he said he would ask Koi to terminate the pregnancy because they couldn't afford a child. The friend reminded him that termination was illegal and morally wrong. Back in the present, Day hugs Koi without saying anything. Later that night, a gust of wind pushes a cup with a string over the edge of the pool. Day catches it, and Koi, now lying on the photo shoot sofa, picks up the other end. They use the cups to communicate, and Koi urges him not to give up. She says she's hungry, and Day wonders if Lucky is too. Just then, Day notices Lucky eating the leftover pizza. After yelling, Lucky tosses the pizza box into the pool. There's not much left. Day wants Koi to eat all of it, but she insists he eat too, for the baby. Day recalls how Koi used to complain that he worked too much and never had time to take her out for pizza. Now she cries as they finally share a meal together. In the morning, Lucky throws a pipe into the pool and wakes Day. The bucket is dry and the heat is intense. Day urinates in a corner and then uses the tape to spell out "help" on the ground. He becomes increasingly disoriented and eventually faints. While unconscious, he dreams of his happiest moments with Koi, but it shifts into a nightmare where he's trapped underwater. By evening, Koi wakes him up. Together, they push the sofa down to use as a back shield. Koi tells him the crocodile is female. She saw it lay eggs earlier. Then it begins to rain, and they collect fresh water in the bucket. On day 4, Day stares at the crocodile before passing out again. When the animal approaches, it steps on his robe and falls into the tunnel. Day had set a trap. He quickly gets up and pushes the crocodile further in until it's completely inside. He replaces the lid and he and Koi move the couch on top of it to keep it sealed. They use the stick and sunlight through Day's glasses to start a fire and cook the crocodile's eggs. Day wants Koi to eat all of it, but she insists on sharing. That night, they move the couch to the wall and climb it. Day supports Koi as she tries to reach the pool's edge. He lifts her by standing on his toes, but it's still not enough, so they come back down. Day decides to let the crocodile return, planning to hide in the tunnels to protect Koi and the baby. Koi takes out the music box and notices the baby figurine is missing. She asks about it, and Day claims it fell, though he actually threw it away. This leads Koi to suspect he wanted her to terminate the pregnancy. When he confirms it, she breaks down. She slaps him, pushes him away, and calls him cruel. Day tries to explain that he's struggling and doesn't feel ready to be a father. Koi argues that everything he's done to help them survive proves otherwise. In the morning, they move the couch away from the tunnel, and the crocodile emerges. Day helps Koi climb into the tunnel, while the crocodile searches for her eggs. Finding only the shells, it attacks. Day grabs the fallen music box and slides toward the vent, jumping inside and closing the lid just before the crocodile reaches him. That night, Day becomes seriously ill. Koi realizes he hasn't had his insulin shots. Day remembers he left a syringe near the pool. He lifts the lid slightly and uses wire and his robe to try and retrieve it. He manages to move the syringe onto the robe, but it falls and breaks when he tries to pull it back. In the morning, he dreams of life with Koi and their child. When he accidentally drops the music box under a barrel, he reaches for it and discovers his insulin case. It had been dropped by his boss earlier. Day injects himself immediately and begins to feel better. Later, Day sees a parachute in the sky and rushes up the stairs to call for help, but no one hears him. On the way back down, his whistle necklace gets caught on a pipe without him noticing. He returns to the pool and realizes the parachute is just a child's toy. He shouts again, but it's useless. Strong wind starts blowing, carrying barbed wire tangled with clothes. The wire snags on a pipe, and most of it lands at the pool's edge. Day decides to climb it, cutting his hands badly in the process. His weight causes the wire to slip, but he keeps climbing. Just before reaching the top, the wire gives way and he falls, breaking his leg and passing out. By day 6, Day wakes in severe pain. He makes a splint using sticks and tape, then passes out again. When he wakes up, he finds the crocodile biting his leg. He kicks it off and hits its head with a bucket until it backs away. That night, rain starts to flood the space where Koi is hiding. She bangs on the barrel for help, but when Day tries to reach her, the crocodile chases him again. He throws the sofa onto the crocodile to trap it, jumps into the tunnel, and closes the lid behind him. The entrance to Koi's space is blocked, so Day searches for another exit. After some time, he finds a new lid with light shining through. He opens it, only to discover that it leads to a second pool. Both pools are connected by vents. Frustrated, Day breaks down, then passes out in the tunnel. On day 7, the parachute toy falls into the pool and 2 men arrive to retrieve it. They tie a ladder to a barrel and lower it into the pool. While picking up the toy, they notice the blood and the taped message, but assume it's part of a film set. They don't see Day or Koi, who are still in the tunnels, and the crocodile is hidden under the sofa. Day hears their voices but arrives too late. They've already left. The ladder is still there, but the crocodile blocks his path. Rain continues and the water in Koi's space rises. She can't escape because a barrel is jammed in the vent. Day wraps barbed wire around his hand using his shirt. As he moves back, he trips on the bucket and falls. The crocodile bites his leg again. He kicks it off, then sits on it and punches it with his wired hand. The crocodile hits him with its tail and pins him down to continue attacking. Day sees Koi drowning in the mirror and pushes himself to keep fighting. He grabs a broken leg from the sofa and stabs the crocodile in the eye. Meanwhile, rain causes the barrels to collapse and drag the ladder down with them. Day falls to his knees, thinking it's over. The crocodile attacks again, biting his stomach and leaving deep wounds. As it moves to bite his head, Koi finds the whistle and blows it. Day snaps out of his daze and jams the stick into the crocodile's mouth to stop the bite. Koi keeps blowing the whistle and Lucky starts barking. Day tries to warn him, but Lucky jumps anyway. The chain snaps his neck and his body dangles over the pool. Fueled by anger, Day picks up the pipe Lucky had brought earlier and forces it into the crocodile's mouth, pushing until it pierces the brain and kills it. To reach Koi, Day uses Lucky's body as a step to climb out. At the top, he says goodbye and lets the body drop, continuing to climb with the chain. He hurries to the other vent and tries to open it with a pipe. Day uses all his strength to force the pipe like a lever. The pressure bends it, leaving him dangling over the other pool. He keeps pushing until the lid finally opens. The pipe breaks and he falls, but grabs the pool's edge in time to stop himself. Ignoring the pain in his leg, Day climbs out and jumps into the tunnel water. He finds Koi unconscious, pulls her out, and starts CPR immediately. At first, there's no response. He assumes she's dead and holds her tightly. Moments later, Koi wakes up and they hug.